Welcome in to the Dallas Cowboys fans. Tom Downey here, coming to you from home today since it's an off-day Friday. Even though it's a bit more of a relaxed setup today, I still wanted to dive into a very important and frankly unexpected story developing around Christian Wilkins. This has quickly become one of the most surprising and intriguing developments in all of NFL training camp, the Raiders releasing Wilkins and attempting to void the guaranteed money on his contract. That is not something you see every day. It's extremely rare, and it raises a lot of eyebrows, so it's worth discussing in detail, especially with the Cowboys still needing serious help along the defensive line. For those who may have missed the initial wave of news, here's the quick recap. Christian Wilkins was cut by the Las Vegas Raiders in what appears to be a strategic attempt to void the $35.2 million in remaining guarantees on his contract. The NFLPA is now filing a grievance on Wilkins' behalf, and that will set off a legal process that could drag on for months, maybe even longer. But the core issue centers around Wilkins' health. He had surgery last October to repair a Jones fracture in his foot, a fairly common injury that typically takes 3 to 4 months of recovery. That timeline should have had him back and ready for off-season workouts, minicamps, and training camp. But here we are, nearly 10 months later, and he still hasn't taken the field. The Raiders reportedly wanted Wilkins to undergo a second surgery on that same foot, something his camp pushed back on. According to the Raiders' side of the story, their medical advisors and multiple specialists believed that second surgery was necessary. Wilkins disagreed, and now, well, he's out of a job. That's a pretty significant fall for someone who, not that long ago, was the highest-paid defensive tackle in the league after signing a major free agent deal to leave the Dolphins for Vegas. From a Cowboys perspective, this is a situation that deserves real attention because, let's be honest, the Cowboys need help on the defensive line, particularly at defensive tackle. And Wilkins, when healthy, checks every single box you could ask for. He's 300-plus pounds, a force in the run game, and capable of creating pressure as a pass rusher. He would instantly elevate the talent level in a group that right now is shaky at best. Just the idea of pairing him with Odighizuwa or rotating him in with Mazi Smith, who is already facing enough questions about his role and fit, sounds like a dream scenario. But here's the big catch. The best ability in football is availability. And right now, Wilkins simply isn't available. That's the issue. We're talking about a player whose timeline to return is murky at best. Some reports say maybe he'll be ready if a team makes a playoff push. Okay, but that's months from now. Is he healthy enough to contribute in November? December? No one knows for sure. And even if he is, how much are you willing to invest in a player who might not suit up until week 13? Let's say the Cowboys were to explore it, and they absolutely should. At a minimum, this situation demands due diligence. Bring him in for a physical. Sit down with his camp. Take a long, hard look at that foot. Because if there's even a chance that Wilkins could get back to form, that is a player who instantly transforms your interior defensive line. He's not just a depth piece. He's a difference maker. But you can't make that kind of investment blindly. And no, I'm not talking about handing out some huge deal. You don't need to break the bank for a player who might not be able to go. But why not structure something incentive-laden? Why not get creative with the cap? Worst case scenario, the foot doesn't check out and you move on. Best case? You've just added a Pro Bowl level defensive tackle for a playoff push. That's worth the risk. Let's take a second to talk about the Cowboys' current defensive tackle room and why the urgency is real. You've got Odighizuwa, who I like. He's developed nicely and deserves his starting spot. But outside of him, you're looking at Mazi Smith, whose fit on this defense is still a mystery. The team keeps talking about wanting him to get back up to 300 pounds, and it's clear they're still trying to figure out what exactly they want from him. Solomon Thomas is a backup level 3 tech. At best, putting him at nose tackle doesn't really make sense at 280 pounds. You've got 7th round rookie Justin Rogers and UFL addition Perian Winfrey, neither of whom inspire long-term confidence. This unit is thin, inexperienced, and misaligned. I've said before, and I'll say again, I think the Cowboys haven't done right by Mazi Smith. They've changed his role, adjusted his body weight, and haven't given him the consistency a young player needs. And now, they're asking him to plug a gaping hole in a defensive line that simply doesn't have the mass or the depth needed to control the trenches, especially in the postseason. Now, if Wilkins were healthy, problem solved. He fits perfectly. He's stout enough to play nose, disruptive enough to play 3 tech, and experienced enough to anchor this line. But again, and that if is massive. What makes this situation even more unusual is how the Raiders handled it. Teams just don't go after guaranteed money unless something serious happened. Usually, you only see this in criminal or off-the-field conduct cases. To void guarantees over injury rehab? That's incredibly rare. This tells you that the relationship between Wilkins and the Raiders had completely deteriorated. The Raiders' defensive tackle room is weak. They needed him, yet they still walked away. That says a lot. According to Diana Rossini, teams are going to start bringing Wilkins in for visits and physicals, but already there's concern among front offices. One head coach reportedly told her he's not healthy enough to play for the Raiders. Something must not be right. That should give any team pause, not just Dallas. But again, that doesn't mean you close the door. It just means you do your homework. Check out the foot. Talk to the doctors. Have the conversation. This could be like the Eric Berry situation years ago, where the Cowboys brought him in for a look. He never played again, but they tried. That's all I'm asking here. Make the effort. Do the due diligence. Because if Wilkins does check out medically, you have the chance to make one of the best low-risk, high-reward moves in football. At the end of the day, I believe the Cowboys need to add another defensive tackle. That room isn't championship caliber as it stands today. Whether it's Wilkins or someone else, you need to explore all available options. And right now, Christian Wilkins is available. That alone is reason enough to pick up the phone. So I'll throw the question to you guys, would you sign Christian Wilkins? Drop a Y for yes or an N for no in the comments. Let's see what you think. I know there are concerns. I know the foot is a red flag. But I also know the Cowboys can't afford to stand pat. Championship windows don't stay open forever. Let's see if this front office is ready to take a calculated swing.